Introduction. What if the moments that nearly broke you were secretly shaping the strongest version of you? When life's storms arrive, without warning shaking your plans, your confidence, and your sense of control, they force a question no comfort ever asks. Will you surrender to the chaos, or will you learn to transform it? Adversity is often misunderstood as a cruel interruption to a peaceful life, something to escape, deny, or endure until it passes. Yet history, psychology, and human experience all point to a deeper truth. Growth is rarely born in ease. It is forged in resistance, refined in struggle, and clarified in pain. The central idea of the alchemy of adversity is that hardship is not the opposite of progress, but its raw material. Every setback carries the potential to reshape character, sharpen awareness, and awaken inner strength if it is met with responsibility, reflection, and courage. This journey is not about glorifying suffering, but about learning how to convert life's storms into wisdom, resilience, and purposeful growth. Enjoyed the video? Subscribe to our channel, hype it, a like, share it with friends, and leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for all updates. Chapter 1. The storm arrives. What do you do when life collapses without warning? One moment you are moving forward with confidence, believing that your plans are solid and your direction is clear. And the next moment, everything you trusted begins to fall apart. Adversity does not arrive gently or gradually. It comes like a storm, sudden, loud, and disruptive, shaking the structures you believed were permanent. In that instant, comfort loses its authority, certainty dissolves, and you are left face to face with a reality you did not prepare for. This moment, as terrifying as it feels, marks the true beginning of personal growth. Most people unconsciously build their lives around the assumption that stability is normal and disruption is abnormal. We expect effort to lead to reward, patience to lead to peace, and good intentions to protect us from harm. When adversity strikes in the form of failure, loss, rejection, betrayal, or sudden change, it feels deeply unjust. The question, "Why me?" rises almost automatically. Yet this reaction reveals an important truth. We are often more attached to predictability than to growth. The storm arrives to break this attachment, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Growth requires movement, and movement often begins with disruption. Adversity exposes the fragile nature of the identities we construct. In calm times, identity feels stable because it is supported by routines, roles, achievements, and external validation. You know who you are, because life keeps confirming it. But when the storm arrives and those confirmations disappear, identity becomes uncertain. Titles lose meaning, routines break, and approval fades. Suddenly, you are forced to confront a difficult question. Who are you when life no longer reflects back the version of yourself you were comfortable with? This confrontation is unsettling, but it is also honest. Comfort hides truth, while adversity reveals it. Fear is the first companion of the storm. Fear of losing control. Fear of being exposed as inadequate. Fear of the unknown future. Many people interpret fear as weakness and attempt to suppress it, but fear is not the enemy. Fear is information. It signals that something meaningful is at stake. The problem is not fear itself, but surrendering to it. Growth begins when fear is acknowledged without being allowed to dominate decisions. Courage does not mean fear disappears. It means action continues despite fear. In this way, adversity trains emotional discipline by demanding forward movement even when confidence is shaken. The storm also removes the illusion of avoidance. In comfortable conditions, it is easy to postpone difficult conversations, ignore warning signs, or delay necessary changes. Adversity eliminates this luxury. It forces engagement. Problems can no longer be ignored because their consequences are immediate and unavoidable. This forced engagement accelerates development. Lessons that might have taken years to learn gently are learned quickly under pressure. Crisis compresses time. It concentrates experience, emotion, and decision-making into a short, intense period, making growth unavoidable. for those willing to face it honestly. Another painful realization brought by adversity is the limit of self-sufficiency. Many people are taught, directly or indirectly, that strength means handling everything alone. When the storm hits, this belief often collapses. Isolation magnifies suffering, while connection reduces it. The need for support becomes undeniable. This does not mean dependence. It means interdependence. Adversity teaches that resilience is not built in isolation, but through connection, humility, and shared humanity. Accepting help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of maturity. As the storm intensifies, something subtle but powerful emerges: choice. While you cannot control the arrival of adversity, you can control how you respond to it. This is where transformation truly begins. Every response, whether conscious or automatic, shapes character. You may choose denial, blame, and bitterness, or you may choose responsibility, reflection, and learning. These choices are rarely dramatic. They are small and repeated. How you speak to yourself, how you interpret events, how you treat others under stress. These behaviors quietly determine whether adversity breaks you or builds you. Adversity also challenges the belief that growth should be comfortable. Many people associate growth with motivation, inspiration, and positive emotion. The storm dismantles this fantasy. Growth often feels confusing, exhausting, and painful. It requires letting go of outdated beliefs and identities, which can feel like a form of loss. However, this loss creates space. When old structures collapse, new foundations can be built stronger, more honest, and more aligned with reality. The storm does not destroy randomly. It targets what is unstable. During adversity, the mind seeks certainty, but certainty is rarely available. This uncertainty can be deeply unsettling, yet it serves an important purpose. It forces adaptability. When the future cannot be predicted, attention shifts to the present. Small, intentional actions replace long-term guarantees. This shift builds psychological flexibility, an ability to adjust without losing direction. Those who grow through adversity learn to move forward without needing full clarity. They trust their capacity to respond rather than their ability to predict. The emotional intensity of the storm also deepens under pressure. True habits surface. How you react when things go wrong reveals more about you than how you act when things go right. Anger, avoidance, discipline, patience, or resilience become visible. This exposure can be uncomfortable, but it is invaluable. You cannot change what you do not see. Adversity acts as a mirror, reflecting patterns that comfort conceals. In this way, hardship becomes a teacher that does not flatter, but reveals. The storm arrives not to punish, but to disrupt stagnation. Many people remain trapped in familiar patterns, not because they are healthy, but because they are familiar. Adversity interrupts these patterns. It forces reassessment of priorities, values, and direction. What once seemed important may suddenly feel trivial, and what was ignored may now demand attention. This realignment is a key aspect of growth. Pain clarifies priorities in a way comfort never can. It is important to acknowledge that adversity alone does not guarantee growth. Suffering can harden as easily as it can refine. The difference lies in awareness. When pain is resisted, denied, or personalized as permanent failure, it leads to stagnation. When pain is examined, accepted, and given meaning, it leads to transformation. This is the beginning of alchemy, the conversion of raw suffering into wisdom. The storm provides the material, but interpretation shapes the outcome. As the storm begins to settle, its impact becomes clearer. You may not feel stronger yet, but something has shifted. Old assumptions no longer hold the same power. You have seen what breaks and what endures. You have learned that certainty is fragile, but adaptability is durable. You may still be standing in uncertainty, but you are no longer naive. This awareness, though born from pain, is a form of progress. Chapter 1 does not promise comfort or quick resolution. It marks the moment when illusion ends and truth begins. Standing in the storm, you realize that this disruption, however unwelcome, carries potential. It is the first step in a larger transformation, not because the storm is pleasant, but because it is honest. If you can remain present, responsible, and reflective, adversity will not define you by what it takes away, but by what it reveals and builds within you. Chapter 2. Pain as a teacher. What if pain was not punishment, but instruction? This question feels uncomfortable because pain is something most people instinctively avoid, suppress, or resent. From an early age, we are taught that pain is a signal to stop, to escape, or to fix whatever is causing discomfort. While this is true on a physical level, emotional and psychological pain follows a different logic. It does not always disappear when avoided. Instead, it persists, deepens, and often returns in new forms. This chapter explores a difficult but transformative truth. Pain is one of life's most effective teachers, and growth begins when we are willing to listen. Pain enters life in many forms: failure, rejection, loss, humiliation, disappointment, regret. Unlike pleasure, pain demands attention. It interrupts routine, disturbs sleep, and occupies thought. This intensity is not accidental. Pain is designed to be felt because it carries information that comfort cannot deliver. Where ease allows us to remain unchanged, pain forces awareness. It highlights what is misaligned, neglected, or unsustainable in our lives. In Thyssen, pain is not random. It is responsive. It emerges where growth is required. Many people misunderstand pain because they see it only as something negative. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" rather than "What is this trying to show me?" This shift in questioning is critical. When pain is treated as an enemy, energy is wasted on resistance. When pain is treated as a message, energy is redirected toward learning. Pain does not always explain itself clearly, but it always points toward something that needs attention: an unhealthy pattern, a false belief, an unexpressed emotion, or an avoided truth. One of pain's most important lessons is honesty. In comfortable times, it is easy to lie to ourselves. We justify unhealthy habits, remain in unfulfilling situations, and tolerate emotional emptiness because it feels familiar. Pain removes this comfort. It exposes self-deception by making it unbearable. A toxic relationship may be ignored for years until emotional pain makes denial impossible. A meaningless career may be tolerated until inner emptiness turns into exhaustion. Pain forces alignment between inner truth and outer life. Moreover, pain teaches humility. Success often inflates ego, creating the illusion of control and superiority. Pain dissolves this illusion. It reminds us of our limits, vulnerabilities, and dependence on forces beyond our control. This humility is not meant to humiliate, but to humanize. It softens rigid self-images and opens space for learning. Those who grow through pain become less judgmental and more compassionate, not because they are weaker, but because they understand struggle from the inside. Pain also deepens emotional intelligence. When everything is going well, emotions remain shallow. In pain, emotions become intense and complex. Grief, anger, fear, guilt, and sadness often surface together. Learning to sit with these emotions without suppression or impulsive reaction is a powerful skill. Pain teaches emotional regulation not by theory, but by necessity. Those who survive pain consciously develop the ability to feel deeply without being destroyed by what they feel. Another critical lesson pain teaches is patience. Pain rarely resolves quickly. It unfolds over time, demanding this slowness frustrates the modern desire for instant relief, but it serves a purpose. Growth cannot be rushed. Just as physical healing requires time, psychological transformation follows its own rhythm. Pain teaches us to remain present in discomfort without escaping into distraction. This capacity to stay is what builds inner strength. Pain also reveals values. In moments of deep discomfort, priorities shift. Things that once seemed importance deduce approval, superficial success, loses significancia. What remains are essentials: dignity, connection, meaning, self-respect. Pain strips life down to what truly matters. This clarity is one of pain's greatest gifts. It reorganizes life around depth rather than appearance, around substance rather than image. However, pain's lessons are not automatic. Pain can educate or destroy, depending on how it is processed. When pain is avoided, numbed, or projected outward as blame, it hardens into bitterness. When pain is acknowledged, reflected upon, and integrated, it evolves into wisdom. The difference lies in responsibility. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for what happened. It means taking ownership of what the experience is shaping within you. Language plays a crucial role in how pain teaches. Saying, "This ruined me," closes the learning process. Saying, "This is painful, but it is changing me," opens it. The words you use to describe pain determine whether it becomes a prison or a passage. Pain framed as meaningless becomes unbearable. Pain framed as meaningful becomes tolerable, even transformative. Pain also strengthens boundaries. Many people overextend themselves, tolerate disrespect, or ignore their limits until pain forces correction. Burnout teaches rest. Betrayal teaches discernment. Rejection teaches self-worth that is not dependent on external validation. Pain enforces lessons that advice often fails to deliver. It draws lines where none existed and protects growth by demanding change. Importantly, pain teaches empathy. Those who have suffered deeply develop a different way of seeing others. They recognize hidden struggles and silent battles. This awareness fosters compassion that is grounded, not performative. Pain removes the illusion that life is simple and people are predictable. It reveals complexity. This empathy strengthens relationships and creates deeper human connection. Pain also prepares individuals for leadership and guidance. People who have never struggled often lack depth. Those who have faced pain and reflected on it carry insight that cannot be learned from theory. They speak with authenticity because their understanding is lived. Pain, when integrated, becomes authority not over others, but within oneself. It must be acknowledged that pain often resists meaning at first. In the middle of suffering, lessons are not obvious. Expecting clarity too soon can lead to frustration. Pain teaches timing. Meaning often emerges after emotional intensity settles. Reflection transforms pain into understanding, but reflection requires distance. Patience with this process is itself a lesson pain teaches. As pain fulfills its role as a teacher, something shifts internally. The same experience that once felt unbearable becomes a source of insight. You may still wish it had never happened, but you no longer wish to be the person you were before it happened. This paradox marks growth. Pain changes identity, not by adding strength artificially, but by removing illusions that weakened you. Chapter 2 establishes a central principle of this journey. Pain is not evidence of failure, but an invitation to awareness. Life speaks softly through comfort, but it speaks clearly through pain. The question is not whether pain will come, but whether you will listen when it does. If you can remain present, responsible, and reflective, pain will not only hurt, it will teach, and what it teaches will become the foundation for deeper strength, wiser choices, and a more authentic life. Chapter 3. The Shattering of Illusions. Who are you when everything you relied on disappears? This question does not arise in moments of comfort, because comfort protects illusions. It allows us to believe that life is stable, that our identities are fixed, and that the future will resemble the past. Illusions are not always lies. Many are convenient assumptions that help us function. However, when adversity strikes, these assumptions collapse. Chapter 3 explores one of the most painful yet necessary stages of growth. The shattering of illusions that once defined who we thought we were. Illusions form quietly over time. We begin to believe that success guarantees security, that effort always leads to reward, and that being a good person protects us from loss. These beliefs are comforting, but they are not always true. Life does not operate on guarantees. When reality contradicts these assumptions, the emotional impact is severe. The shock is not only about what happened, but about what we believed. The pain of illusion shattering is the pain of waking up. One of the strongest illusions adversity destroys is the illusion of control. Many people believe they are in control of outcomes as long as they plan carefully and behave responsibly. While effort and discipline matter, adversity reveals that control is limited. External forces, other people's choices, timing, health, chance play a significant role in life. This realization can feel destabilizing, but it is also liberating. When the illusion of total control dissolves, energy shifts from obsession with outcomes to mastery of response. Another illusion that breaks is the illusion of identity. We often define ourselves by roles, achievements, relationships, or social status. I am successful. I am needed. I am respected. These identities feel solid until the structures supporting them collapse. When a career ends, a relationship breaks, or recognition fades, identity feels threatened. This is why loss can feel like the loss of self. Yet what breaks is not the self, but the image of the self. Beneath the illusion lies a deeper identity that is not dependent on external validation. The shattering of illusions also exposes false expectations of fairness. Many people carry an unspoken belief that life should be fair if they are fair. When adversity violates this expectation, anger and resentment emerge. While these emotions are understandable, clinging to them prolongs suffering. Letting go of the illusion of fairness does not mean accepting injustice. It means releasing the belief that fairness is guaranteed. This release allows emotional energy to be redirected from bitterness to resilience. Illusions often protect us from discomfort, but they also limit growth. They keep us within familiar boundaries. When they shatter, uncertainty rushes in. Uncertainty feels threatening because it removes predictability. However, uncertainty also creates space for transformation. When old beliefs no longer guide behavior, new understanding can emerge. Growth requires this temporary disorientation. Just as the eyes need time to adjust after waking from darkness, the mind needs time to adjust after illusion breaks. The process of illusion shattering is deeply emotional. Confusion, grief, anger, and sadness often coexist. This emotional turbulence is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence that deeply held beliefs are being challenged. Suppressing these emotions slows growth. Allowing them to be felt and examined accelerates integration. Emotions are signals that something significant is changing internally. One particularly painful illusion to lose is the belief that others will always understand or support us. Adversity often reveals the limits of empathy. Some people disappear when life becomes difficult. This can feel like betrayal, but it also provides clarity. It shows who is capable of standing in discomfort and who is not. While this realization can be lonely, it refines relationships and encourages self-reliance, balanced with selective trust. Illusion shattering also challenges the idea that strength means invulnerability. Many people equate strength with emotional control and independence. Adversity exposes vulnerability, making it impossible to maintain this image. True strength, however, is not invulnerability. It is honesty. Accepting vulnerability allows for healing and connection. The illusion of invulnerability isolates, while the acceptance of vulnerability, as illusions fall away, a quieter truth emerges. Without false assumptions, life appears more raw, but also more real. This realism is not pessimism. It is grounded awareness. You begin to see life as it is, rather than as you wish it to be. This clarity allows wiser decisions. When expectations align with reality, disappointment loses its grip. Importantly, the shattering of illusions does not mean becoming cynical. Cynicism is another illusion, one that assumes meaning does not exist. Growth lies in realism with hope. You learn that life is uncertain, but you are capable. You learn that guarantees do not exist, but purpose does. This balanced understanding marks maturity. The rebuilding process begins after illusions collapse. New beliefs are formed, not from fantasy, but from experience. These beliefs are more flexible and resilient. Instead of nothing bad will happen, the belief becomes, I can handle what happens. This shift transforms fear into confidence, grounded in capability rather than prediction. Chapter 3 represents a turning point. Illusions fall, but awareness rises. The loss of false certainty creates space for authentic strength. What breaks is not your foundation, but the fragile structures built upon it. When illusions shatter, truth enters. And while truth may be uncomfortable, It is the only ground on which lasting growth can stand. Chapter 4. Choice in the midst of chaos. Is growth decided by events or by responses? Life's storms do not pause for reflection. They arrive suddenly, disrupting routines, plans, and expectations. At first, chaos feels like the enemy, confusing, overwhelming, and uncontrollable. Yet within this turbulence lies the hidden power of human agency, choice. While adversity cannot always be controlled, the response to it can. This chapter explores how conscious choices in the midst of chaos determine whether adversity breaks us or builds us into stronger, wiser individuals. When chaos strikes, the mind instinctively seeks certainty and control. The impulse to react immediately can be intense. Some respond with panic, anger, or blame. Others retreat, numb themselves, or attempt to escape. These responses are natural but rarely constructive. True growth requires pausing, observing, and intentionally choosing a path forward. Choice in chaos is not easy because emotional intensity clouds judgment, and pressure amplifies fear. Yet it is in these high-stakes moments that character is revealed and resilience is forged. Adversity highlights the difference between reactive and proactive responses. Reaction is immediate and often unexamined. Proactivity involves awareness, reflection, and deliberate action. For example, losing a job can provoke reactive fear or denial, or it can provoke proactive planning, skill development, and creative The storm itself does not create these outcomes. Your choice does. Every crisis contains a fork. You may succumb to circumstance or rise through conscious engagement. Choice also demands responsibility. It is easy to externalize blame during hardship. This happened to me because of others, or the situation is unfair. While external factors exist, growth occurs when you claim responsibility for your own reactions, decisions, and attitudes. Responsibility does not mean self-blame. It means ownership of what you can control, even in uncontrollable conditions. The empowerment of choice lies precisely in this ownership. Moreover, choice shapes perspective. The same adverse event can have vastly different impacts, depending on interpretation. One person's failure becomes a source of shame. Another's becomes a lesson in resilience. One person sees loss as devastation. Another sees it as opportunity for realignment. Perspective is a choice, often subtle, but profoundly influential. By consciously framing adversity, individuals can transform emotional burden into actionable insight. Adversity also exposes habitual decision-making patterns. In chaos, underlying tendencies surface: patience or impulsivity, courage or avoidance, hope or despair. Recognizing these patterns is crucial because they determine the trajectory of growth. Some choices are small but cumulative. How to respond to criticism, how to spend time when resources are limited, whether to maintain integrity under pressure. Each choice builds the architecture of resilience. Importantly, choice in chaos is not about control over external circumstances, it's about control over self. You cannot dictate the storm, but you can direct your sail. This distinction is liberating. By focusing on what can be controlled, attitudes, effort, learning, and ethical responses, you reclaim power even when the external world feels chaotic. Growth is anchored not in events, but in these deliberate actions. Adversity also tests commitment to values. When under pressure, shortcuts, dishonesty, or compromise may seem tempting. Choice becomes moral as well as practical. Do you act according to your principles, or abandon them for immediate relief? Choosing integrity under duress strengthens character. Every decision made in alignment with core values deepens resilience and self-respect, creating a foundation for future growth. Choice is amplified by mindfulness. Awareness of thought, emotion, and impulse allows more deliberate action. Without mindfulness, choice becomes reactive habit. With it, choice becomes empowerment. Mindfulness does not remove difficulty, but it illuminates the path through it. Even in intense pressure, moments of reflection enable decisions that build rather than diminish strength. Another dimension of choice is adaptability. Sometimes initial plans fail, or new challenges appear unexpectedly. Resilient individuals choose flexibility rather than rigidity. They adjust strategies, shift perspectives, and experiment with solutions. Adaptability is not passive surrender. It is active engagement with reality, acknowledging limits while seeking opportunities. Finally, choice in chaos fosters learning. Every decision, regardless of outcome, becomes data for self-improvement. Even mistakes are instructive when reflected upon. Growth arises not from avoiding error, but from choosing reflection and adjustment over denial or blame. The storm becomes a classroom, and choices are the lessons. Chapter 4 emphasizes a central truth. While adversity cannot be avoided, the response to it is always a matter of choice. The events themselves are neutral. What shapes character, resilience, and growth is how you act within them. Chaos tests clarity, courage, and commitment to values. By embracing conscious choice, you transform storms into opportunities. In the heart of turbulence, where instinct often pushes toward panic or surrender, deliberate choice becomes the compass that guides toward strength, wisdom, and transformation. If you want, I can continue with Chapter 5 next and maintain the same 1,500-word depth per chapter. This will ensure consistency throughout the book. Do you want me to do that? Chapter 5. Responsibility and inner control. What changes when excuses no longer work? Life has a way of testing us in ways that expose our true capacity for responsibility. Responsibility is not just about fulfilling obligations or meeting external expectations. It is about ownership of one's choices, actions, and attitudes. Especially when circumstances are difficult, chaotic, or beyond our control. Inner control, closely tied to responsibility, is the ability to maintain composure, clarity, and deliberate action in the face of adversity. This chapter explores how embracing responsibility and cultivating inner control are central to turning life's storms into personal growth. Adversity often confronts us with situations that are unfair, unpredictable, and beyond our influence. At first, it is natural to seek external explanations. Blame becomes an easy refuge. This happened because of them. Life is against me, or the world is cruel. While external factors undeniably exist, focusing solely on them is a trap. Growth does not come from pointing fingers. It comes from recognizing what is within your control. Responsibility begins the moment you claim ownership over your reactions, your decisions, and your attitude toward challenges. Taking responsibility does not mean self-blame. It does not suggest that misfortune is deserved or that hardship is your fault. Instead, it is a conscious decision to shift focus from what you cannot control to what you can. You cannot always prevent storms, but you can decide how to respond. This shift acknowledging agency, even when external circumstances are harsh, is the foundation of inner control. Without it, life's challenges feel overwhelming. With it, they become opportunities for growth. Inner control is strengthened through repeated practice. The first layer of control is emotional regulation. Adversity often triggers strong emotions: fear, anger, frustration, sadness, and despair. These emotions, if left unchecked, can dictate behavior, leading to impulsive actions or destructive patterns. Those who cultivate inner control observe emotions without being dominated by them. They acknowledge fear without panic, experience grief without paralysis, and feel anger without reacting destructively. Emotional discipline does not suppress feelings, it channels them into purposeful action. The second layer of inner control involves cognitive clarity. Crises can cloud judgment, making it difficult to see options, consequences, or solutions. Inner control is the ability to maintain mental clarity under pressure, to distinguish between facts and assumptions, and to make decisions grounded in reality rather than distorted by emotion. This clarity enables strategic thinking, resilience, and the ability to act effectively, even in uncertain circumstances. Responsibility and inner control also require honesty with oneself. Many people avoid accountability by rationalizing behavior or denying uncomfortable truths. Adversity exposes the limits of such denial. When excuses fail, choices become transparent. Accepting personal responsibility demands confronting weaknesses, acknowledging mistakes, and embracing lessons. This honesty is uncomfortable but transformative. It turns mistakes into opportunities, limitations into areas of growth, and failures into feedback. The practice of responsibility extends beyond individual action to include relationships and influence. Adversity tests how we treat others. Those who blame others, deflect responsibility, or seek scapegoats strain relationships and perpetuate conflict. Those who embrace accountability, communicate, respect, reliability, and integrity. Responsibility, therefore, is both personal and relational. It fosters trust, deepens connections, and strengthens social support resources that are invaluable when facing life's storms. A critical aspect of inner control is separating what can be influenced from what cannot. Some events are immutable: loss, natural disasters, economic downturns, or others' choices. Inner control lies in directing energy toward responses rather than futile attempts to manipulate the uncontrollable. This focus enhances effectiveness, reduces frustration, and cultivates resilience. The dichotomy between influence and acceptance is a practical tool that anchors responsible action. Responsibility is also forward-looking. It is not confined to reacting to past events, but includes preparing for the future. Decisions made today, under pressure, shape the path ahead. Delaying responsibility or relying on excuses creates compounded challenges. Embracing responsibility early allows proactive measures, smarter choices, and stronger preparation for upcoming difficulties. Responsibility is a multiplier. It magnifies growth by converting challenges into stepping stones. Inner control and responsibility mutually reinforce each other. When responsibility is embraced, inner control strengthens because energy is channeled into constructive action rather than wasted on blame or denial. Conversely, inner control makes it easier to accept responsibility because emotions are managed and judgment is clear. Together, they form a feedback loop that increases resilience, clarity, and growth potential. Adversity also teaches that responsibility is not about perfection. It is about commitment. No one responds flawlessly under pressure. Mistakes happen, emotions flare, and judgment falters. Responsibility is the willingness to acknowledge errors, adjust course, and continue acting with integrity. Inner control allows these corrections to occur without falling into self-growth. Thrives in this cycle of reflection, accountability, and improvement. Finally, responsibility and inner control foster freedom. Paradoxically, the more we accept responsibility and cultivate control over our inner world, the less we are enslaved by circumstances. Storms remain unpredictable, but we become adaptable. Pressure remains intense, but we become strategic. Challenges persist, but we develop the capacity to navigate them with courage, clarity, and purpose. Chapter 5 establishes a core principle of personal alchemy. You cannot always choose the storm, but you can choose how it shapes you. Responsibility transforms events into lessons, mistakes into wisdom, and setbacks into opportunity. Inner control provides the stability to act deliberately, ethically, and effectively in the face of chaos. Together, they empower individuals to navigate adversity, not as victims, but as architects of growth. In the crucible of life's storms, those who embrace responsibility and mastery of self emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than they ever imagined possible. Chapter 6. The discipline of resilience. Can strength be trained like a muscle? Life's adversities are not only tests of endurance, but also opportunities to cultivate resilienza, deliberate capacity to withstand challenges, recover from setbacks, and continue moving forward with purpose. Resilience is not an innate trait reserved for a few extraordinary individuals. It is a skill, a practice, and a mindset that can be developed over time. Just as physical strength requires consistent training, so too does emotional, mental, and spiritual resilience. This chapter explores the deliberate cultivation of resilience and why discipline is central to mastering life. Inevitable storms. Resilience begins with perspective. Those who endure hardship most effectively view adversity not as punishment, but as a challenge, a test of capacity and opportunity for growth. Perspective is the lens through which difficulty is interpreted. Two people may face the same storm, yet one collapses under pressure while the other emerges wiser and stronger. This is because resilience is not determined by circumstance, but by the mind's approach. Cultivating resilience requires choosing to see difficulty as a catalyst rather than an obstacle. Discipline underpins this perspective. Resilience is not passive endurance. It is intentional engagement. It requires consistent habits that strengthen the mind, body, and spirit. Practices such as reflection, mindfulness, goal setting, and structured routines provide the framework within which resilience grows. Without discipline, resilience is reactive. It emerges only in crisis and is unreliable. With discipline, resilience becomes proactive, a cultivated capacity ready for any challenge. Emotional regulation is a cornerstone of resilience. Life's storms generate intense emotions: fear, grief, anger, frustration. These feelings are natural, but unregulated emotions can lead to destructive patterns. Disciplined resilience involves acknowledging emotions without letting them dictate action. This does not mean suppression. It means channeling emotions constructively. For example, anger can motivate problems, grief can inspire reflection, and fear can enhance vigilance. Emotional discipline transforms vulnerability into a tool rather than a liability. Resilience also demands adaptability. Life rarely conforms to expectations. Plans fail, relationships falter, and resources may suddenly vanish. The disciplined individual learns to adjust strategies without surrendering goals. Flexibility is not weakness. It is the ability to maintain direction while navigating uncertainty. Adaptive resilience combines patience with creativity, allowing challenges to be met with solutions that are both innovative and grounded in reality. Persistence is another key element. Discipline trains the individual to continue even when motivation wanes. Resilience is often tested over time, not in single dramatic events. Consistent effort, incremental progress, and repeated engagement with challenges build strength far more reliably than bursts of heroism. Discipline ensures that resilience is sustainable, creating a foundation for long-term growth. Resilience also thrives on reflection. After every challenge, disciplined reflection allows lessons to be extracted from experience. What worked? What failed? How did emotions shape decisions? Reflection transforms trial into education, turning hardship into a structured path of improvement. Without reflection, adversity is wasted. It may only generate trauma. Discipline converts experience into wisdom. The body plays a crucial role as well. Physical health, stamina, and rest influence mental and emotional resilience. Discipline in nutrition, exercise, and sleep strengthens the foundation upon which mental resilience is built. The mind and body are interconnected. A disciplined body supports a disciplined mind. Storms are easier to face when physical resources are optimized. Accountability reinforces resilience. Disciplined individuals set clear standards for themselves, track progress, and adjust behavior when necessary. Responsibility for action ensures that adversity is met with structured, deliberate effort rather than reactionary impulse. Accountability transforms uncertainty into a field of measurable, actionable possibilities. Social support enhances resilience, but does not replace mentorship. Relationships and community provide guidance and encouragement, yet the ultimate work of resilience occurs within. Discipline ensures that reliance on others complements, rather than substitutes, personal capacity. Strong networks amplify the effects of disciplined resilience, creating synergy between internal fortitude and external support. Resilience also involves managing energy and attention. Storms can be exhausting, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Discipline trains the individual to prioritize tasks, conserve focus, and engage in actions that produce the highest impact. Strategic energy management ensures sustainability of effort and prevents burnout. Resilience without discipline risks depletion. Over time, disciplined resilience becomes a feedback loop. Each challenge navigated strengthens confidence, teaches strategy, and builds stamina. Failures, when approached with reflection and adjustment, become stepping stones rather than obstacles. Resilience grows cumulatively, compounding the effects of deliberate practice across time. Chapter 6 underscores a critical truth. Resilience is not accidental. It is cultivated through disciplined engagement with life's adversities. It requires emotional regulation, adaptability, persistence, reflection, accountability, and strategic energy management. Like a muscle, it strengthens with consistent training. Those who master the discipline of resilience do not merely survive life's storms. They navigate them with clarity, wisdom, and purpose. In this way, adversity transforms from a source of fear into a platform for growth, shaping individuals into unshakable architects of their own development. Chapter 7. Reflection and meaning. How do we make sense of life's storms? Adversity without reflection is like a journey without a map. Experiences occur, lessons are available. Yet without thoughtful examination, growth remains partial or fleeting. Reflection transforms events into meaning, chaos into understanding, and pain into insight. This chapter explores how deliberate reflection and the search for meaning are essential in turning life's challenges into profound personal development. Reflection begins with stillness. In the midst of a storm, the mind is often chaotic, consumed by fear, anger, confusion, or grief. Deliberate reflection requires pausing, even briefly, to observe and process what has occurred. This stillness does not deny the reality of pain. Rather, it allows the mind to step back and see patterns, connections, and lessons that are invisible in the heat of emotional intensity. Without reflection, adversity can overwhelm, leaving scars without insight. The first step in reflection is honest observation. Observing reality as it is without distortion, denial, or justification is crucial. This involves acknowledging what happened, how it happened, and what was one's own role in it. Honesty is the lens through which clarity emerges. For example, a personal failure may initially feel like random misfortune or external betrayal. Through reflection, one can recognize choices, assumptions, or patterns that contributed to the outcome. This awareness transforms helplessness into agency. Reflection also requires emotional presence. Feelings that arise during adversity are not obstacles to clarity. They are data. Grief, anger, fear, or shame can reveal values, attachments, and beliefs that need attention. Rather than suppressing emotions, disciplined reflection observes them, asks why they exist, and considers how they inform understanding. Emotional presence deepens insight, allowing the individual to integrate both intellect and feeling into meaning. Another critical dimension of reflection is pattern recognition. Life rarely delivers lessons as isolated incidents. Challenges often repeat in varying forms. Observing recurring themes in adversity, such as tendencies to avoid conflict, procrastinate, or rely excessively on external validation, reveals areas for growth. Recognizing patterns allows proactive correction rather than reactive repetition. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom through this awareness of recurrence. Reflection also fosters gratitude. This may seem counterintuitive in hardship, yet even in storms, there are elements to appreciate. Lessons learned, support received, personal endurance, or the clarity adversity provides. Gratitude does not negate pain. It reframes experience to acknowledge both challenge and opportunity. This balanced perspective strengthens resilience, reminding individuals that life contains resources even amid difficulty. Finding meaning is the natural extension of reflection. Meaning answers the question, why did this happen, and what can I learn from it? Humans have an innate drive to seek significance in suffering. Viktor Frankl, in his exploration of life in extreme adversity, emphasized that meaning sustains individuals even in the harshest conditions. By consciously seeking meaning, one transforms random events into a coherent narrative, allowing life's challenges to contribute to purpose rather than despair. Reflection often leads to personal insight. These insights may relate to beliefs, values, priorities, or identity. Adversity exposes assumptions that were previously unexamined. Reflection highlights which of these assumptions are accurate, which require modification, and which are obstructive. This process fosters self-awareness, the cornerstone of growth. Without self-awareness, lessons remain superficial, and change is temporary. Discipline enhances reflective practice. Random rumination is not reflection. It is often circular and unproductive. Deliberate reflection involves structure. Journaling, meditation, discussion with trusted mentors, or systematic analysis of events and choices. Consistency is key. Regular reflective practice trains the mind to extract meaning continuously rather than waiting for catastrophic events. Reflection also strengthens ethical and moral development. Adversity often presents dilemmas, revealing the choices between integrity and compromise, courage and avoidance, generosity and reflecting on these moments allows one to evaluate alignment with values and principles. Through this process, meaning is intertwined with character development, shaping not only understanding but also conduct. The process of reflection bridges past, present, and future. Past experiences become learning material. Present awareness guides action. Future planning incorporates insights gained. Reflection ensures that adversity is not merely endured but leveraged. Lessons are retained, mistakes are acknowledged, and strategies for improvement are developed. Without this temporal integration, challenges risk being repetitive rather than transformative. Social and relational reflection is equally important. How one navigates adversity with others reveals relational patterns, communication habits, and empathy. Reflection allows assessment of how one's behavior affects relationships and what adjustments are necessary to foster trust, respect, and mutual support. Growth through adversity is incomplete if interpersonal dimensions are ignored. Meaning-making also fosters resilience. When adversity is perceived as purposeful or instructive, psychological stamina increases. Pain, frustration, or uncertainty becomes less threatening when integrated into a larger narrative of growth and purpose. The mind is fortified not by avoidance of hardship, but by understanding its relevance. Reflection converts experience into a coherent story that guides decisions, strengthens character, and instills hope. Importantly, reflection is not a one-time event. It is iterative. Life's challenges are continuous, and insights deepen over time. Revisiting past adversities with fresh perspective often uncovers additional lessons previously unnoticed. Reflection is both process and practice, ongoing and evolving, expanding understanding, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. Chapter 7 emphasizes that reflection and meaning are essential alchemical tools in personal transformation. Storms alone do not guarantee growth. Conscious processing, honest observation, pattern recognition, and pursuit of significance convert adversity into insight. Reflection bridges raw experience with wisdom, creating a map through chaos. Meaning transforms suffering from burden into purpose, from confusion into clarity. Together, reflection and meaning enable individuals not only to survive life's storms, but to emerge enriched, guided, and profoundly aware of their capacity for growth, insight, and contribution. Chapter 8. Patience and persistence. How long can you endure before giving up? Life often tests us, not only with sudden storms, but also with prolonged struggles that demand patience and persistence. While immediate crises require quick decisions, long-term adversity tests endurance, consistency, and the willingness to continue despite slow progress, repeated failures, or uncertainty. Patience and persistence are twin pillars of personal growth. They transform challenges from obstacles into opportunities and build strength that survives beyond the immediate storm. This chapter explores how cultivating patience and persistence is essential in turning life's difficulties into lasting growth. Patience is often misunderstood as passivity. Many equate patience with inaction or resignation. True patience, however, is active. It is the ability to wait while maintaining focus, purpose, and effort. Patience allows time for understanding, for strategy to emerge, and for processes beyond one's control to unfold. Without patience, energy is wasted on frustration, anxiety, and impulsive reactions. Wheat pretends, even slow progress accumulates into meaningful transformation. Persistence complements patience. While patience sustains the spirit during waiting, persistence drives action despite obstacles. Persistence is the repeated commitment to a course of action, regardless of immediate results or external validation. It is the refusal to surrender to discouragement, the resilience to continue working toward a goal even when outcomes are uncertain. Together, patience and persistence form a balance. Patience prevents burnout and rash decisions, while persistence ensures steady forward movement. Adversity often tempts shortcuts, quick fixes, or avoidance. Patience resists these temptations, fostering endurance through discomfort and uncertainty. Persistence reinforces this endurance by encouraging disciplined effort and consistent application of skills, strategies, and learning. Life rarely rewards impatience. Long-term success is almost always the product of sustained effort, tempered with reflection and adaptability. Patience cultivates perspective. Waiting, observing, and enduring allows time to see patterns, understand consequences, and gain clarity. Many failures result from hasty actions taken without sufficient insight. Patience encourages thoughtful responses, reduces errors caused by impulsivity, and enhances discipline. In adversity, the ability to tolerate delay or uncertainty without frustration becomes a strategic advantage. Persistence develops resilience. Repeated engagement with challenges strengthens mental, emotional, and physical stamina. Each attempt, regardless of outcome, contributes to skill, experience, and confidence. Persistence trains the mind to tolerate discomfort, overcome fear, and continue acting toward meaningful goals. It creates a sense of agency. Even if external circumstances are difficult, one's actions remain consistent and reliable. Discipline underpins both patience and persistence. Patience requires maintaining composure and focus over time, while persistence demands repeated effort and dedication. Discipline structures, routines, enforces consistency, and creates habits that sustain effort during periods when motivation wanes. Without discipline, both patience and persistence are vulnerable to fatigue, distraction, or discouragement. Reflection enhances patience. Understanding the nature of processes, timelines, and limitations allows realistic expectations. Patience is easier when the mind recognizes that growth, healing, and progress are gradual. Impatience arises from unrealistic standards or comparisons. Reflection tempers these tendencies by anchoring perspective in reality, emphasizing incremental progress over immediate results. Persistence also relies on strategic effort. Blind repetition without learning from mistakes or adjusting approaches may reinforce failure rather than success. Effective persistence integrates reflection, adaptation, and problem solving. Each attempt is informed by previous experience, maximizing the likelihood of progress. Persistence without insight risks frustration. Insight without persistence renders understanding ineffective. Together, they create a powerful engine for growth. Patience and persistence shape character. Individuals who practice these qualities develop resilience, humility, and emotional regulation. They learn to endure discomfort without surrender, maintain focus without rigidity, and act with purpose despite uncertainty. These traits strengthen the ability to navigate future challenges, providing an internal stability that external circumstances cannot undermine. Social support can reinforce patience and persistence, but the ultimate source is internal. External encouragement motivates, yet endurance is cultivated within. Relying solely on external validation risks inconsistency. Internal discipline ensures that patience and persistence remain steadfast, regardless of external conditions. Adversity also tests the balance between patience and persistence. Waiting too long without action can become complacency. Action without reflection can become recklessness. The skill lies in knowing when to endure, when to act, and how to combine both with wisdom. Mastery of this balance differentiates those who merely survive from those who transform challenges into sustained growth. Patience and persistence foster long-term vision. Immediate discomfort loses power when situated within a larger context of purpose, values, and goals. They allow individuals to focus on enduring outcomes rather than temporary setbacks. This orientation encourages strategic planning, disciplined effort, and resilient mindset. Over time, Practice in patience and persistence compounds. Challenges navigated with endurance and repeated effort create cumulative growth. Skills, insights, confidence, and resilience accumulate, making future adversities more manageable and opportunities for development more accessible. Patience and persistence transform life's storms from threats into instruments of long-term evil. Chapter 8 emphasizes a fundamental principle. True personal growth is rarely instantaneous. Adversity often unfolds slowly, requiring sustained effort and endurance. Patience allows one to tolerate delay and uncertainty without surrender, while persistence ensures continuous action toward meaningful goals. Together, they cultivate resilience, insight, and capability. By embracing these twin pillars, individuals convert life's prolonged challenges into enduring strength, wisdom, and transformation. Storms are inevitable, but patience and persistence ensure that they are not wasted. They become the forge in which character and growth are strengthened, shaping lives that are resilient, purposeful, and prepared for the inevitable tests yet to come. Chapter 9. Gratitude and Perspective. How does one find light in the darkest storms? Life's challenges often obscure clarity, leaving only pain, frustration, and uncertainty. Yet within adversity lies an often overlooked alchemical tool: gratitude. Paired with perspective, gratitude transforms perception, reshapes emotional responses, and converts difficulty into opportunity. This chapter explores how consciously cultivating gratitude and perspective allows individuals to extract meaning from life's storms, fostering resilience, wisdom, and growth. Gratitude is more than politeness or superficial acknowledgement. It is a deliberate recognition of value amid challenge. It involves noticing what is working, what is available, and what lessons are embedded in adversity. Even the smallest insights or resources can form the basis for gratitude when consciously observed. While life's storms may dominate attention, actively seeking elements for which to be grateful shifts focus from scarcity to sufficiency, from despair to possibility. Perspective complements gratitude by situating events within a broader context. Adversity often feels overwhelming because focus is restricted to immediate discomfort or loss. Perspective expands the lens, integrating long-term consequences, lessons learned, and growth potential. It allows the individual to see storms not as punishments, but as teachers. Not as endings, but as transitions. Perspective reframes suffering, reducing emotional burden, and enhancing gratitude also strengthens resilience. Recognizing what remains, what has been gained, or what can be learned fortifies mental and emotional stability. Individuals who practice gratitude during hardship are less likely to succumb to despair or hopelessness. Gratitude provides a psychological buffer, a reminder that life contains value even amid difficulty. This mindset creates space for adaptive responses rather than reactive or destructive behavior. Practicing perspective encourages discernment. It allows one to distinguish between transient discomfort and enduring consequences, between minor setbacks and transformative challenges. Perspective prevents overreaction and reduces impulsive decisions driven by emotion rather than strategy. By expanding temporal and situational awareness, individuals can navigate adversity more effectively, making choices aligned with long-term growth rather than immediate relief. Gratitude also fosters humility. Recognizing the contributions of others, the support received, or the resources available cultivates an awareness that no one navigates life alone. Humility derived from gratitude tempers ego, reduces resentment, and enhances relational intelligence. Relationships are strengthened when appreciation is consciously expressed, and this social support often amplifies resilience during difficult times. Perspective further enables reinterpretation of setbacks. Failure, rejection, or loss may initially feel devastating. By stepping back and assessing these events from multiple angles, individuals can identify lessons, opportunities, or hidden benefits. Perspective transforms misfortune into a guide, revealing paths forward that may not have been visible amid initial pain or disappointment. This reinterpretation is central to growth. Gratitude and perspective work synergistically. While gratitude highlights value, perspective situates it within meaning. Together, they enable a shift from victimhood to agency. Life's storms remain challenging, but they are no longer purely oppressive. They become revealing insights that would otherwise remain hidden. This dual practice converts adversity into a dynamic classroom for personal development. Moreover, cultivating gratitude requires it is not automatic in the face of suffering. Deliberate practices, such as journaling, reflection, and mindfulness exercises, enhance awareness of what is positive or instructive. Daily routines of acknowledgement listing lessons learned, resources available, or strengths. Exercise train the mind to notice value even amid adversity. Over time, this habitual focus transforms perception, making gratitude a natural lens through which life is interpreted. Perspective is similarly cultivated through practice, seeking multiple viewpoints, considering long-term implications, and reflecting on past experiences enhance the ability to contextualize events. Mentorship, reading, and dialogue with others broaden perspective, exposing individuals to alternative ways of interpreting challenges. The disciplined development of perspective strengthens judgment, reduces emotional volatility, and enhances strategic thinking. Gratitude and perspective also reinforce emotional regulation. Acknowledging value and situating events within context reduces the intensity of negative emotions, mitigates stress, and encourages constructive responses. These practices prevent being consumed by frustration, regret, or bitterness, promoting mental clarity and focus. Emotional resilience, in turn, enhances the capacity to act decisively, creatively, and ethically under pressure. Adversity often challenges assumptions, beliefs, and expectations. Gratitude and perspective allow for constructive examination of these shifts. For example, a sudden career setback may initially feel catastrophic. Through perspective, one can recognize the broader context of opportunity, potential growth, or redirection. Gratitude may reveal the support systems, skills, or insights gained despite the setback. This reframing cultivates adaptive coping strategies and accelerates learning. Practicing gratitude does not negate difficulty. It coexists with the reality of struggle. Perspective does not diminish loss. It integrates understanding. Together, they create balanced awareness, allowing individuals to experience hardship without being overwhelmed. This balance transforms adversity from a destructive force into a source of insight, resilience, and personal evolution. Over time, gratitude and perspective shape identity. Individuals who consistently apply these practices develop a mindset oriented toward growth, learning, and appreciation. Challenges become less intimidating because they are perceived as meaningful rather than arbitrary. Emotional stability, relational intelligence, and strategic insight strengthen, equipping the individual to navigate future storms with skill, composure, and optimism. Chapter 9 underscores a profound principle. Adversity alone does not generate growth. Conscious engagement through gratitude and perspective is required to convert suffering into insight. Gratitude illuminates value, while perspective contextualizes meaning. Together, they transform challenges from obstacles into teachers, from burdens into opportunities. Life's storms remain inevitable, yet the disciplined cultivation of gratitude and perspective ensures they contribute not to despair, but to strength, wisdom, and enduring personal growth. Those who master this practice emerge not only resilient, but deeply attuned to the lessons and opportunities embedded within every challenge. Chapter 10. Adaptability and Transformation. How do we evolve when life refuses to follow our plans? Adversity often forces change, some radical but growth. Emerges most powerfully when we learn to adapt. Adaptability is not mere survival. It is the capacity to adjust, learn, and transform in response to challenges. Transformation is the natural outcome of sustained adaptability, the ability to integrate experiences, overcome obstacles, and emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable. This chapter explores how embracing adaptability during life's storms leads to profound personal transformation. Adaptability begins with awareness. To adjust effectively, one must first understand the situation. Crises often arrive with uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Initial reactions may be fear, denial, or resistance. These responses are natural, but limited in effectiveness. Awareness allows observation without judgment, enabling the individual to assess what is within their control and what requires creative adjustment. Without awareness, adaptation is reactive and shallow. With it, responses are intentional and strategic. Change is inevitable, but resistance is optional. Human nature tends to cling to familiarity, comfort, and routine. Adversity disrupts these patterns, often provoking discomfort and anxiety. Resisting change intensifies suffering, while embracing it allows energy to be directed toward constructive solutions. Adaptability requires the willingness to release outdated assumptions, behaviors, or expectations, and to explore alternative approaches. Flexibility becomes a source of strength rather than a sign of compromise or weakness. Adaptability also demands learning. Life's storms often reveal gaps in knowledge, skills, or perspective. Those who adjust effectively engage in continuous learning, observing outcomes, seeking new information, and experimenting with novel strategies. Transformation occurs when lessons are internalized and applied. Without learning, adaptation is temporary. With learning, it becomes the foundation for sustained personal evolution. Emotional adaptability is equally critical. Storms provoke intense emotions: fear, anger, sadness, and frustration. Adaptive individuals recognize these emotions, regulate them, and channel them toward constructive action. Emotional rigidity can amplify suffering, while emotional flexibility allows resilience to flourish. By accepting emotional responses without being controlled by them, one maintains clarity and composure, facilitating deliberate and effective action. Adaptability requires creativity. When familiar solutions fail, new approaches are necessary. Adversity often demands resourcefulness, improvisation, and innovative thinking. Creative adaptation transforms obstacles into opportunities, turning limitations into avenues for exploration. This inventive approach cultivates confidence, problem-solving capacity, and strategic insight, reinforcing the ability to navigate future challenges. Transformation is the outcome of consistent adaptability. While adaptation addresses immediate circumstances, transformation integrates lessons, changes behaviors, and reshapes identity. Individuals who embrace adaptability do not merely return to a previous state after adversity. They evolve, often exceeding prior levels of capability, insight, and resilience. Transformation is not incidental. It is the product of sustained effort, reflection, and flexible engagement with life's challenges. Discipline supports adaptability. Effective adjustment requires repeated practice, reflection, and evaluation. Habits of flexibility, open-mindedness, and proactive learning strengthen adaptive capacity. Without discipline, adaptability may be sporadic and reactionary. With it, adaptation becomes a reliable tool for personal growth. Discipline ensures that change is constructive rather than chaotic, fostering coherent and sustainable transformation. Perspective enhances adaptability. Understanding broader contexts, potential consequences, and alternative viewpoints allows for more informed and strategic responses. Perspective prevents short-sighted reactions and reduces emotional reactivity. By situating challenges within a larger framework, individuals can identify opportunities within adversity, prioritize responses, and allocate resources effectively. Adaptability is closely tied to resilience. Those who can adjust to shifting circumstances recover more quickly, maintain composure under stress, and navigate uncertainty with confidence. Resilience without adaptability is rigid. Adaptability without resilience is fragile. Together, they create a dynamic capacity to not only endure, but also thrive in the face of change. Self-awareness is a cornerstone of adaptive transformation. Recognizing personal strengths, weaknesses, biases, and tendencies informs decisions about how to adjust behavior and mindset. Adaptive individuals continuously assess themselves, their goals, and their strategies, ensuring alignment with values and long-term objectives. Transformation is facilitated when adaptation is guided by self-knowledge rather than reaction alone. Social and relational adaptability is equally vital. Life's storms often affect relationships, requiring negotiation, empathy, and collaboration. Adaptive individuals adjust communication styles, expectations, and behaviors to maintain trust, cooperation, and mutual support. Social flexibility amplifies personal adaptability, reinforcing both resilience and the capacity for constructive transformation. Adaptability also fosters innovation in identity. Adversity may challenge self-concepts, beliefs, or roles. By embracing change, individuals reevaluate priorities, values, and capacities, reshaping their identity in alignment with growth rather than fear. Transformation in identity allows for deeper self-understanding, expanded capability, and enhanced confidence. Finally, adaptability requires patience. Change is rarely instantaneous. Initial adjustments may fail, emotions may fluctuate, and outcomes may be delayed. Sustained effort, reflection, and openness to experimentation are essential. Patience ensures that adaptation is maintained over time, allowing transformation to solidify and integrate into daily life. Chapter 10 emphasizes a profound truth. Adversity is not merely an obstacle, but an opportunity for evolution. Adaptability allows individuals to navigate change, integrate lessons, and innovate solutions. Transformation is the natural outcome of consistent, mindful adaptation. By cultivating awareness, emotional flexibility, learning, creativity, discipline, perspective, resilience, self-awareness, and relational flexibility, individuals convert life's storms into platforms for growth. Adaptability transforms chaos into clarity, suffering into insight, and disruption into personal evolution, ensuring that challenges leave individuals stronger, wiser, and profoundly changed. Chapter 11. Integration and Mastery. What happens when all the lessons from life's storms are combined? Growth is not merely the sum of individual experiences, insights, or strategies. It is the integration of knowledge, resilience, and perspective into a coherent whole. Mastery emerges when reflection, responsibility, adaptability, patience, gratitude, and all other skills cultivated through adversity converge, allowing individuals to navigate life with clarity, wisdom, and purposeful action. This chapter explores how integration transforms fragmented learning into holistic personal mastery. Integration begins with awareness. Life's experiences, however intense or instructive, remain isolated unless consciously synthesized. Observing patterns across challenges, identifying recurring themes, and connecting lessons from various circumstances are critical steps. For instance, the patience learned through long-term struggle may reinforce persistence in professional or personal endeavors. Gratitude developed during loss may deepen empathy in relationships. Recognizing these interconnections enables deliberate application of lessons across contexts. Mastery requires deliberate reflection. Reflection consolidates insights, turning episodic learning into permanent understanding. Regular review of past experiences allows identification of what strategies, mindsets, and behaviors consistently yield positive outcomes. Through reflection, individuals not only recognize what worked, but also why it worked, enabling replication and adaptation in future situations. This disciplined synthesis forms the foundation of integrated mastery. Integration also demands alignment with core values. Lessons extracted from adversity are most powerful when they reinforce ethical, moral, and personal principles. For example, resilience is amplified when grounded in integrity. Adaptability becomes transformative when guided by purpose. Alignment ensures that personal mastery is not merely technical competence, but also moral and philosophical coherence. Mastery without values may lead to skill without direction, or success without fulfillment. The emotional dimension of integration is equally vital. Emotional intelligence, cultivated through regulated responses to stress, empathy for others, and mindfulness of personal triggers, becomes a central component of mastery. By integrating emotional insights with cognitive understanding, individuals respond to challenges with balanced judgment, composure, and effectiveness. Emotional integration transforms reactive responses into intentional actions. Responsibility and self-discipline converge in mastery. Individuals who have learned to take ownership of choices and actions during adversity apply these principles consistently across contexts. Mastery involves proactive management of behavior, deliberate prioritization, and sustained commitment to growth. The habits developed through disciplined resilience, patience, and persistence become automatic, forming the architecture of dependable and ethical personal power. Cognitive integration is another critical component. Knowledge acquired through reflection, learning, and adaptation must be synthesized into mental frameworks that guide us. Understanding causal relationships, long-term consequences, and strategic interconnections allows individuals to anticipate challenges and navigate complexity with confidence. Cognitive integration transforms isolated experiences into structured wisdom. Social and relational mastery arises from integrating lessons learned about human interaction, empathy, and communication. Adversity often exposes relational strengths and weaknesses. By synthesizing these lessons, individuals enhance their capacity to collaborate, negotiate, and maintain trust. Social integration amplifies personal growth, as mastery is not only internal but relational, extending influence, support, and leadership in broader contexts. Adaptability is reinforced through integration. Mastery involves recognizing that change is constant and that the ability to adjust mindset, behavior, and strategies is essential for sustainable growth. The adaptive lessons from diverse adversities become a toolkit, enabling individuals to navigate unforeseen challenges with composure and creativity. Integration ensures that adaptability is applied consistently rather than sporadically or reactively. Spiritual and existential reflection often deepens during mastery. Life's storms provoke questions about meaning, purpose, and legacy. Integration allows these insights to inform daily decisions, relationships, and long-term objectives. Personal mastery encompasses not only skillful navigation of life, but also alignment with a broader sense of purpose and contribution. Individuals who integrate existential insights act with intent, guided by principles that transcend immediate circumstance. Mastery also requires ongoing evaluation. Integration is not static. Life's complexity demands continual assessment, adjustment, and refinement. Regular reflection, feedback from experience, and openness to new learning ensure that mastery evolves rather than stagnates. This iterative process maintains relevance, effectiveness, and authenticity in personal growth. The synthesis of gratitude and perspective strengthens integrated mastery. Individuals who consistently cultivate appreciation and contextual understanding are better equipped to navigate uncertainty, maintain resilience, and apply insights constructively. Gratitude enhances motivation, perspective provides clarity, and together they anchor mastery in both awareness and practical application. Physical and mental health support integrated mastery. Sustaining resilience, focus, and energy requires care of the body and mind. Habits of exercise, nutrition, rest, and mindfulness ensure that the tools of reflection, adaptability, and emotional regulation are applied consistently and effectively. Integration extends beyond abstract principles into embodied practice. Finally, mastery is expressed through purposeful action. It is not knowledge for its own sake, but the ability to act with clarity, intention, and ethical grounding. Individuals who integrate lessons from life's storms apply them to personal goals, relationships, professional challenges, and community engagement. Mastery transforms potential into action, adversity into opportunity, and insight into impact. Chapter 11 emphasizes that the ultimate goal of navigating life's storms is integration. Fragmented experiences, isolated lessons, and temporary insights gain enduring value only when consciously mastery emerges, when reflection, resilience, adaptability, patience, gratitude, responsibility, and all other cultivated skills converge into coherent practice. Life's storms become more than challenges. They become instruments of holistic growth, shaping individuals who are competent, ethical, resilient, and purpose-driven. Through integration and mastery, adversity fulfills its highest promise, the creation of lives that are not merely survived, but fully realized, enriched, and transformed. Chapter 12. Legacy and Contribution. What mark will you leave on the world after the storms have passed? Life's adversities are not only opportunities for personal growth, but also for shaping the legacy we leave and the impact we contribute to others. Legacy is the culmination of lessons learned, resilience cultivated, and wisdom applied. Contribution is the outward expression of that growth in meaningful action. This chapter explores how the alchemy of adversity transforms personal struggle into enduring impact, guiding individuals to create significance beyond their own experience. Legacy begins with reflection on values and purpose. What matters most when life is at its most challenging often reveals the core principles that define us. Adversity exposes priorities, tests integrity, and clarifies purpose. By consciously observing what resonates as meaningful amid difficulty, individuals identify the foundation upon which their legacy can be built. Legacy is not an abstract idea. It is a tangible reflection of the principles one embodies consistently, even under pressure. Contribution flows naturally from legacy. Those who have learned, reflected, and grown through adversity often feel compelled to share insights, skills, or support with others. Contribution can take many forms: mentoring, teaching, supporting community initiatives, innovating solutions, or simply offering empathy and guidance. By translating personal growth into action that benefits others, individuals multiply the value of their experiences. Adversity is transformed from an isolated struggle into a catalyst for positive influence. Understanding the interconnectedness of life amplifies the impact of legacy. No individual exists in isolation. Each choice, action, and lesson reverberates through relationships, communities, and systems. Awareness of this interconnectedness encourages deliberate action and ethical decisions. The storms one survives provide credibility, perspective, and empathy that enrich the capacity to contribute meaningfully to the lives of others. Legacy, therefore, is relational as well as personal. Resilience and adaptability, cultivated through past adversity, play a crucial role in sustaining contribution. Life continues to present challenges, even after previous storms have passed. Consistent contribution requires ongoing strength, flexibility, and perseverance. Those who have practiced resilience are better equipped to maintain influence, despite setbacks, criticism, or fatigue. Adaptability ensures that contribution remains relevant and effective as circumstances evolve. Gratitude and perspective deepen the quality of legacy. Recognizing support received from others, understanding the broader context of challenges, and appreciating the interconnectedness of life fosters humility, empathy, and wisdom. A legacy shaped by gratitude and informed by perspective is grounded, authentic, and impactful. Individuals who approach contribution with these qualities inspire trust, respect, and enduring influence. Intentionality is essential. Legacy and contribution are not accidentally result from deliberate reflection, decision-making, and action. The lessons learned from adversity must be consciously applied in ways that extend beyond self. Intentional contribution involves identifying areas of greatest impact, leveraging personal strengths, and aligning actions with values and purpose. Without intentionality, lessons risk remaining private, growth may be insular, and potential influence unfulfilled. Mentorship exemplifies the integration of legacy and contribution, sharing insights, strategies, and resilience cultivated through personal adversity equips others to navigate their own challenges. Mentorship multiplies growth, transferring wisdom to future generations and creating a ripple effect that extends beyond individual experience. In this way, personal storms become communal tools, shaping collective resilience and capability. Contribution also encompasses creative expression and innovation. Adversity often sparks new ideas, strategies, or approaches. Applying these innovations for the benefit of others transforms personal challenges into societal gains. The legacy of problem-solving, ingenuity, and constructive adaptation becomes a resource that others can access, building a foundation for lasting impact. Ethical integrity anchors meaningful legacy. The most profound contributions emerge when actions reflect consistent alignment with values. Adversity may present opportunities for shortcuts, compromise, Choosing integrity in these moments ensures that legacy is credible, respected, and enduring. Ethical legacy is a compass that guides both personal and collective action, shaping influence for the better. Reflection strengthens the intentionality of contribution. Continuous evaluation of impact, lessons learned, and alignment with purpose ensures that legacy evolves rather than stagnates. Reflection allows adaptation, refinement, and deepening of contribution, creating a dynamic legacy that responds to changing circumstances while remaining true to core principles. Resilience, perspective, gratitude, adaptability, and mastery, all skills cultivated through previous chapters, converge in legacy and contribution. Each element supports the other. Resilience sustains action. Perspective informs direction. Gratitude fosters humility. Adaptability ensures relevance. Mastery provides competence. Together, they transform the individual from a survivor of adversity into a leader, mentor, innovator, and source of inspiration. The final dimension of legacy is inspiration. Beyond tangible contributions, the example set through growth, resilience, and ethical action inspires others to navigate their own challenges. Stories of overcoming adversity, lessons shared through mentorship, and consistent alignment with values illuminate a path for others. Inspiration is both a gift and a multiplier, extending the impact of personal growth beyond immediate circles. Legacy and contribution are living processes. They are cultivated throughout life and evolve with each new challenge. Each decision to act with purpose, each choice to share wisdom, and each demonstration of resilience adds layers to the enduring impact one leaves behind. Life's storms, once navigated with awareness, reflection, and discipline, become the material from which lasting influence is forged. Chapter 12 emphasizes that the ultimate alchemy of adversity extends beyond personal transformation. The storms we endure, the lessons we learn, and the mastery we cultivate become instruments of meaningful legacy and contribution. By consciously integrating growth into purposeful action, individuals transform suffering into service, struggle into inspiration, and challenge into enduring impact. Legacy and contribution ensure that life as trials produce value far greater than personal gain. They become a force for collective growth, insight, and lasting positive change. Through this lens, adversity fulfills its highest purpose, shaping lives that are not only resilient and wise, but also generative, ethical, and profoundly influential.